Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Members are present. Approval of the agenda. We have two additions. 7F, approve purchase of radio equipment for 2026 squads. And 7G, approve appointment of training coordinator for Sauk Center Ambulance. Is there any other changes to the agenda? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with those two additions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe.
Second.
Second by Scott. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the January 21st, 2026 regular meeting. I'll receive them in your packet. Is there any changes or corrections within those set of minutes? There is one. It states that City Administrator Vicki Willer was here at the last meeting. She wasn't, so we need to get that removed. Okay. Any other changes or corrections? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes with that change?
So moved.
Motion by Brad. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. This now brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Call a third time. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Seeing no one, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings, so we'll move on to reports and presentation. Planning Commission report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet, we had a meeting on January 28th to rezone a property, and that is an action item a little later on your agenda. And then I have just a recap for December permits. In 2025, we had 5 permits for $53,000. And December 2024, we had 3 permits for $34,000. This year in January, we had 3 permits for about $7,000 due to the cold weather. And a year ago in January, we had 11 permits, and the total value was $1.8 million, but Tractor Supply was like $1 million of that. And then I have a recap for the nuisance complaints. And 1, I have an abatement plan. 5 have gone to the attorney, and I have some that are kind of circling back to the attorney. 2 more need to check out in 2026. 21 are complete. 2 were in compliance at time of inspection. 1 was in compliance, no longer in compliance. 1 condemnation. 6 are still in progress. 9 were irrelevant, and that's all I have. There's a total of about 51 for the 2025 year.
Okay, questions, concerns?
Sarah, can you make sure that microphone is on?
It's on.
It is, okay.
Hello?
Thank you.
Okay. Fire Chief's annual report. Jeff?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the annual report for the Sauk Center Fire Department for 2025. Responses calls, we had from 2024, we had 8 structure fires. This 2025, we had 17. Grass fires, we had 9 in 2024. We had 6 in 2025. Rescue and medical, we had 41 in 2024. In 2025, we had 42. Vehicle accidents and fires, we had 23 in 2024 and 21 in 2025. Gas, smoke, and alarm calls, 21 in 2024 and 21 in 2025. False cancel calls, 47 in 2024 and 55 in 2025. And then service calls, we had 15 in 2024, and 2025, we had 9. So we had 171 calls last year compared to 164 in 2024, so. Response calls that we billed out was $55,364. Response calls received was $1,975 from the previous year of 2023. And then response calls received was $44,664. That should be from 2025, I believe, so. Then unpaid so far is $9,270. Collections and write-offs are $3,735. We had some donations, from Sauk Center Fire Relief was a donation of $85,000. Sauk Center CVB was $250. Minnesota National Bank, $129. Leroy Moritz was $200. Dwight Williams was $500. Michael and Nancy Noe was $100. Michael and Jeannie Metzger was $500. Dale Elmo, $1,000. John and Christine Felling was $200. Community Connection was $500. And Logan Gruber was $200, for a total of $88,579. In 2025, beginning of 2025, we had 4 firefighters retire, and then we had hired 3 firefighters in 2025. And that's the annual report. Any questions?
Questions? Concerns? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Then we'll move on to CVB annual report.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. For those I haven't formally met yet, I'm Sarah Hoffner. I'm the Executive Director for Visit Sauk Center. I stepped into this role July of 25, following the retirement of Pam Borgman, who served the organization and community for the past 9 years. My professional background is rooted in marketing, communications, and chamber work, and I spent the last 9 years working closely with local businesses, boards, community partners, focusing on storytelling, branding, event promotion, and strategic marketing that supports local economies. When I stepped into this role mid-year, my goal is to honor the strong foundation already in place while bringing fresh energy, updated tools, and a clear, consistent brand voice to Visit Sauk Center. Tonight, I'd like to share a look back at 2025 and then talk about where we're headed for this year. Last year was a year of visibility, momentum, and intentional growth for Visit Sauk Center. Our focus was on expanding our reach, refreshing our digital presence, and making sure Sauk Center is showing up in the places that travelers are already looking. In 2025, we advertised across a wide mix of regional and national publications, both print and digital. This included AAA Living, Minnesota Monthly, Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine, MSP Magazine, Midwest Living, Up North Magazine, Minnesota Trails, Iowa Sportsman, Rider Magazine, Roadrunner Magazine, and the Explorer Minnesota Travel Guide. We also continued promotion through our own Sauk Center Visitor Guide, Facebook, and YouTube advertising, and the Explorer Minnesota Leads program. In addition to advertising, we invested directly in community events that align with our tourism mission and bring visitors into Sauk Center. These included support for the Sauk Center Conservation Club Walleye Tournament, Sinclair Lewis Days, the Time Travelers Trek, Festival of the Arts, along with other events that contribute to overnight stays, dining, shopping, and overall economic activity. Visitor guides remain one of our strongest marketing tools. In 2025, we mailed close to 2,000 individual Sauk Center visitor guides directly to people who requested information about visiting. We also distributed more than 5,000 guides to other welcome centers and tourism locations across Minnesota, including high-traffic destinations like Mall of America, Duluth, Brainerd, and Bemidji. Bemidji is where I attended the October Minnesota Tourism Association Conference, where I connected with other tourism professionals from across the state. Those relationships are important because they help keep Sauk Center part of statewide conversations and open doors for collaboration and shared promotion. Along with print and in-person outreach, we saw significant growth digitally. In 2025, Facebook post views increased by more than 2,000%. Video views are up over 8,000%, and we added more than 1,000 new followers in a single year. Overall, our engagement increased by 2,700% compared to the previous year. These numbers tell us that people are not only seeing Sauk Center content, but they're interacting with it, sharing it, and paying attention. Our website traffic also grew significantly. Website visits increased by 44% year over year, reaching approximately 11,000 visits. Most visitors arrive through direct links or Google searches, which tells us our content is discoverable and relevant to people actively planning trips. Nearly every page of this Visit Sauk Center website has been refreshed. Visitors can now easily find places to dine, shop, stay, and explore. The site highlights lodging options, things to do, Sauk Center history, an information request form, a map showing where we're located, and an upcoming event section. The goal was to make it easy for someone who has never been here to quickly understand what Sauk Center offers and how to plan a visit. In November, our board revisited our mission and vision. While the purpose of Visit Sauk Center remains the same, we wanted some language that would truly reflect who we are and what makes Sauk Center unique. Our updated mission and vision is: Visit Sauk Center exists to inspire visitors to discover Minnesota's original Main Street, a community where history, hospitality, and hometown pride come together. We showcase Sauk Center's unique charm, from its lakes and trails to its lively downtown and rich literary legacy. Our work focuses on growing tourism in a way that supports local businesses, strengthens the local economy, and preserves the authentic character that makes Sauk Center special. Looking ahead to 2026, branding and storytelling will continue to be a major focus. We're building on the check this off your list concept using the check mark from our logo. This theme has already been introduced in the new visitor guide and will continue throughout the year across print, social media, and other advertising. It allows us to highlight experiences in a fun, memorable way while keeping a consistent visual identity. All graphics and ads are now created in-house, which helps us be efficient with our lodging tax dollars while staying timely and flexible. Our board continues to be a strong asset to the organization. This year, we welcomed Scott Kowski as our city's representative and Dave Schrader of the Palmer House to the board, replacing Kelly Fries. Our board also includes Pam Durbin of the American, Maria Westerbeck of Community Connection, Stacy Michaels of the Sauk Center Area Chamber, Allison Schlisky of Babbitt's Wine Bar, and Annette Hinnenkamp, who is a member at large. This group brings valuable perspectives from lodging, dining, business, and community engagement. One of the most exciting initiatives that I'm looking forward to is a partnership with Explore Minnesota Co-op and Sizzle Media. At the end of March, a professional video production team is coming to Sauk Center to capture some local businesses, attractions, and community hotspots. These videos will be used to promote Sauk Center as a tourism destination across multiple platforms and statewide channels. In closing, Visit Sauk Center remains focused on smart marketing, strong partnerships, and telling Sauk Center's story in a way that feels authentic and welcoming. The growth we saw in 2025 shows that these efforts are working, and 2026 is all about building on that momentum. Thank you for your continued support and for investing in tourism that strengthens our local economy and community. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions? I just got one comment. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. Good job.
Thank you.
I also was very impressed that we got the profit and loss statement as an email almost over a month ago. So that is a step in the right direction. So thank you very much. We'll move on to action items. Approve ordinance 854, amending zoning map for Ingle.
Okay. At its meeting on January 28th, the Planning Commission held a public hearing to consider a request for rezoning. The request was submitted by Brent Engel on behalf of the Marcus J. Engel Revocable Trust. The request was to amend the zoning map to rezone a 7-acre parcel of land from IC Industrial Commercial to R1 Residential. The property is located at 1732 Beltline Road, the northeast side abutting the Wobegon Trail. It's adjacent to IC Commercial, Ag, and R1 Residential property. After the public hearing, the Planning Commission voted to recommend the amendment to the City Council. I do have that in front of you tonight as ordinance 854. And most of the ordinance is actually just the legal description of the property. So what that does is removes it from the IC Industrial Commercial District and puts it in R1 residential and 2 family.
Okay. Is there any questions, concerns? Brad, you're on the planning commission. You got any comments?
Yeah, just one, it was presented to the planning and zoning, and we felt that being it was adjacent to an existing, residential zone, that's always one of our thoughts is we don't want a spot zone. Right.
Well, it's illegal too.
Right. And so are certainly in kind of collaboration, what we've felt the city has done in the past, we've definitely supported moving forward with the request.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Otherwise, I will look for a motion to approve ordinance 854.
So moved.
Motion by Brad. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7B, approve resolution 2026-03, setting schedule of penalties and fines.
So this was a fee schedule recommendation that was held over from prior months regarding the penalties and fines section. The policy committee met, they reviewed the fee schedule, and they recommend adjustments as shown on that schedule that you have attached. The highlighted numbers are the ones that we are looking for a recommendation. The general rule is that they'll be consistent at $125. Otherwise, there's certain areas that are called out in code that don't allow us to do that, make that change. But as you can see, the violations like streets and sidewalks, development-related traffic violations, nuisances, everything just kind of shifts to an even 125. Some were 50, some were 100. They were kind of all over the board. Some hadn't been changed since 2006, and so they just made a consistent number across the board. Do you have any questions about that?
Questions, concerns? This is kind of what I was looking for when I pushed it a little bit, to move it from 2006, so at $50 for most of them, at least now we're making it more stiff. If there's any other comments, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-03?
So moved.
Motion by Scott, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7C, approve resolution 2026-08, authorizing solicitation of quotes for seal coating.
So the 2026 budget for crack filling and seal coating to be undertaken in 2026 is budgeted at $175,000. The operations committee met this evening before the meeting to review the project list and has a recommendation for the city council. As you know, our policy is to try to crack fill and seal coat within 5 years to kind of protect those roadways. So the roadway list that the policy or the operations committee has agreed to is Anjo East, the Public Works Shop, County Road 112, and Sinclair Lewis Avenue will all be crack filled. And then Anjo East, the Public Works Shop parking lot will then be seal coated. And then Ash Street, they're recommending a micro seal. As you know, we have the ruts in Ash Street, and a micro seal will fill those in. And so that entire roadway would be micro sealed from one end to the other. The total estimated cost comes in at like $163 based on those estimates, and we'll go out for bid, and then we'll see where we're at. We could be high or low. If the bid comes in more, the council has the option to remove a road. If the bids come in less, we do have the option to add a road. So as of right now, it's Andrew Drive, East Street, the Public Works Shop, County Road 112, Sinclair Lewis Avenue, and Ash Street. And so that is the roads that we would like to insert into the resolution approving the advertisement for quotes for the 2026 crack fill and seal coat projects.
Questions, comments? Everyone understands where we're at with the roads? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-08?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Abstentions? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7D, consider refund request, Birch Pine Project.
So this is a carryover from the last meeting. Ralph and Larry Zimmerman at 630 Birch Street, they requested that the city reimburse them for costs they incurred for the reinstallation of sidewalk pavers for their walkways up to their house. The city removed a couple feet of each of two sidewalks where they connected to the city sidewalk. Zimmerman stated that since they were not put back, they hired Treetop Nursery to do the work, and they paid the bill to Treetop for $1,872. So Keith Yap, the city engineer, calculated what the city would have paid to replace the pavers with a walkway, because that's what we would do. And so you have the calculations there in your packet. A total cost, if we'd have replaced that, would have been $376.51. So that is kind of a number that maybe is what we would have paid anyway if we would have done the work. And so the question for you is if you want to consider that request. We did do one other one where we did a reduction in his special assessment to help compensate for the cost that he incurred. This one has already been assessed, so it would be a direct payment back to the owner.
Questions? Concerns?
But to be consistent with what we did the last time, it was a very similar process, correct?
Right.
We looked at the costs, we took it into consideration.
$700 for Kettlesons, and that's what we approved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was the difference. Have we done it? We approved what we would have done and would have spent.
Right.
So,
That was based on the amount of concrete we would have poured.
Exactly.
For that job, where this is totally different.
yeah, but my point is we did it based on a process and we
Estimated
used the
cost.
same process based on cost.
Okay? Any other comments or concerns? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we reimburse the $376.51 that it would have cost the city to replace that portion of that walkway.
Okay, we have a motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Any other questions or concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7E, approve final SCDP loan for Arrow Health.
So this is the final agreement. On July 2nd, 2025, upon recommendation of the EDA, the City Council approved proceeding with the development of an SCDP loan/grant to Arrow Health for code deficiency and accessibility upgrades. At that time, the EDA recommended that electrical updates by Essler Electric and the plumbing heating upgrades by Kleinschmidt Plumbing and Heating would fit the parameters of the project the best. The total costs were estimated at $20,500, with the city participation at 70%. Final invoices for those two entities came in at $15,800, which is recommended to be approved and paid as follows. Of that $15,800, the deferred loan, which converts to a grant over 10 years, would be 40% or $6,320, and then there would be a zero-interest loan of 30% of $4,740. So the total reimbursement would be $11,060. The balance of 30% is the owner portion. So basically, there was 15,000 eligible expenses. The owner pays 30% of that, we pay 70% of that. So what we're looking today is to approve payment of $11,060 for SCDP loans upon receipt of signature agreements.
Questions? Concerns? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve payment of $11,060?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, second
I'll second.
by Heidi. Last minute discussion or questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7F, approved purchase of radio equipment for 2026 squads.
So the 2026 squads have arrived. One of them, I believe, is ready to go up and get the equipment put in it. The installation does include new mobile radio equipment and software licensing. It's $5,451 each. The request is for the purchase of 2 sets for the new squads for a total of $10,902. And this was included in the budget. It's just doesn't come with the squad. It's just new radio equipments to go in that. So that is our request, is to approve that purchase.
Okay, questions or concerns? Otherwise, do I have a motion to approve the purchase?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi, second by Scott.
Yep.
Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7G, approve appointment of training coordinator, Sauk Center Ambulance.
So Ambulance Director Brian Zales has submitted his recommendation to fill the vacant training coordinator position. He states that Nicole Westbrook has accepted the position of training coordinator. The effective starting date would be February 9th, 2026. So the action requested is to appoint Nicole Westbrook as training coordinator for the Sauk Center Ambulance Service effective that date.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to appoint Nicole Westbrook?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions,
Aye.
motion carries 4 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. Unfinished business, Trunk Highway 71 project.
For that one.
Okay.
All right, Mayor and Council, I've got updates. As I mentioned last time, we put together some preliminary cost estimates, excuse me, for our portions of the project. We did come in, I'll just explain what this all is. It includes all of the side streets that we have scoped so far, the council has scoped. Includes all of the sewer and the water for those streets, plus Trunk Highway 71 itself, all the services, all those kinds of things. Includes the storm sewer for this, all the side streets, including Second Street North discharge up there, Second Street South discharge, as well as the 8th Street South discharge all the way to the, on the far east side, and also includes that 8th Street portion as it relates to a reconstruct for those couple blocks in there. So it includes all of that. What it doesn't include are things such as the storm sewer allocations on the Trunk Highway 71 corridor itself. We don't have them yet, and we won't have them for a while yet from MnDOT, so we don't have that. We don't have lighting costs on Trunk Highway 71. We will be paying for at least a portion thereof for the street lighting for 71, so that's not included at this point. We also, if there's any street costs related to the street itself, the sidewalk, the pathways, those kinds of things on 71, if there's improvements that we have to pay a share of, we don't have that at this point either. The good news on those is it looks promising that most of those costs, if not all of them, will be being paid for by MnDOT. So our improvements on 71 that we're responsible might be sort of limited to the lighting and the storm sewer improvements of which, our share thereof. So that would be nice for us. So what we have at this point, with all that being said, is I have a construction cost estimate about $8.7 million, with a total project cost of just a little over $11.1 million at this stage. Still preliminary. I do plan to send all my numbers out to a contractor to get some air checking and see if they agree and see where those numbers are at. So I'm going to try to fine tune our costs as we move forward here. At this stage, MnDOT is finalizing the alignments and all of the improvements, essentially surface-wise and the layouts for 71. It's supposed to have it actually by the end of the week, this week. So they're just about finished with that. So that's something I'll be able to share with you once we get that. We'll actually have our first next Friday, so a week from this Friday, will probably be our first kind of coordination meeting with MnDOT and their consultants to start talking about how these projects can fit together, those kinds of things. One thing also I've neglected to state is these improvements, the costs I should also include the bypass road as well. Now, the bypass road itself was about $630,000 for that bypass road. Now, remember, that's just basically a rural section with a asphalt surface on it. So that's what that includes for there. So that's kind of where that's at. One thing I wanted to just kind of leave you with, and it kind of relates to the bypass, and Vicki and I were talking about this the other week. The bypass road provides us an opportunity to actually have an emergency connection between the east side of the city and at least the north side of the community when there's a flood event going on. Because when there's a flood event going on, Trunk Highway 71 at Lake Street is underwater, at the bridge is underwater, Sinclair Lewis is underwater, going to the east. So there is no sort of connection between that side of the town and to the north. Also, there's not a real good connection between the south side of the bridge and going north, thinking about the hospital in particular, being able to get there for emergency services. So thinking about the bypass, it actually allows some opportunity to have some connections out there. If we think about, we already have a plat that would go from the bypass that kind of goes up to the north. It happened many, many years ago, actually. But if there was a small connection that went up to 3rd Street north, you actually could have a connection. Because remember, 1st Street north is also underwater. The Public Works building is about 1.5 to 2 feet underwater as well. So that's another larger concern as well. But it's a vital thing for the community, and it could be underwater during a 100-year flood event. So it is something to be thinking about there as well. And to the south side here, kind of the southeast corner at 415th Street out there, I think it's Street or Avenue, I can't remember. There's a small segment there that's underwater, but thinking about if we were able to do a project where we're able to raise that road a little bit so that 415th would be passable, be able to make a connection up to 3rd, we actually could have an emergency connection between the south and the north. And we talked about, Vicki and I talked about potentially thinking about looking for resiliency funding, some grant funding to be able to maybe help with those couple areas, because it really isn't all that much. Once, assuming the bypass is done and that roadway is in, it becomes something that's kind of fairly small in doing to be able to make those connections. So I just wanted to bring that to council's attention to just be thinking about. I'm not asking you for anything to move forward at this stage. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Maybe that's something we can discuss at a further time, but just something to think about, because there are some resiliency funds that are out there, and that might be something that could be tied in, and it doesn't even have to be done right at that immediate time. It could be done a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, something of that nature, but it just gives some thoughts about how to maybe make some emergency access a little better for the community. So with something that's pretty easy to do, assuming the bypass road is actually installed. So I just wanted to throw that out there to you. So with that, I'll ask and entertain any questions that you may have.
Questions?
Yeah, a couple. Do you have any printout or anything, a handout for all these numbers you showed, or?
I provided one to Vicki. That was not provided. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. I will get you something so we can have it. We'll send that out, and maybe we can email that to everybody so you'll have a sheet that you can look at for that.
All right, and.
It's not in detail. I mean, what I gave is just kind of summary. So here's all the, sanitary sewer, water main, that kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
But I do like the fact you have it broken down per job, right? Or per street, maybe say it better?
I have it per street. What I provide isn't a per street. I do have the ability to figure it out per street. We have that. I have it broken down by the costs by every single street. So I do have that ability to break that down. If you want to see it by every street, I can certainly do that. I hadn't got to that point. I mean, I probably will, but the report, as I mentioned before, until we get the rest of the MnDOT costs, we're pretty much at a standstill at this point. So we will be waiting until we get those things from MnDOT at this stage.
Right, but these are dollars that the city's gonna have to pay no matter what, if we were gonna go with everything that you just stated. And I'll just tell you, $640,000 to connect Morning View is outrageous, in my opinion. That's a lot of money. Just saying.
It's about 1,300 feet of roadway through there. It's not the easiest from the sense of it's, there's some side hills, especially on would be closer to the Morning View side. There's some cuts and, some significant cuts through there. I will say also, though, it is because we do have a ponding area located between First and Second Street North. And that fill material, I've got that kind of preliminary plan that would go to the bypass road. Otherwise, we'll have to find a place to put that, but, because it is a fair amount of material through there. It's like 20,000 yards, so it's quite a bit.
Right.
But-
Yeah, I
It's early.
understand, I understand it's a lot of money for that bypass road, but I guess what the council, when we get to that point, is gonna have to look at how important it is to get that fire truck to the north end of town or that ambulance to the hospital for somebody that's on the south side. Does they ignore it and have them do a 4-mile all the way around, at least 4 miles to get around to the other side? Then it's gonna be a way, okay, do you, somebody's structure or somebody's life, is that more important than the 600 and some thousand, or isn't it? So, that's one of the things, when we get to that point, we're gonna have to figure that out.
Right, and I don't think we need to build a freeway, so
No,
I
no.
think there might be other alternatives.
I was thinking just a gravel road and be done with it.
Well, that ain't 640.
Well, I'm not an engineer, so I'm not gonna say that.
This is a rural section, so it does have a 30-foot wide
Right.
pavement section on the top. That could be removed and just leave it as a gravel section, so that is a way to cut, but, that's what we have, and that's what the costs are at the moment. Doesn't mean we have to do it that way,
Yep.
so we
Yeah,
can do something
Totally
different.
understand.
So,
Thanks.
okay. Any other questions?
Tried, make sure I had my notes right here. So 8.7 was the construction cost, is that correct? Okay, all right, and then 11.1 for the total project.
Yeah.
Then, as you talked about the, those resiliency funds and 415th Street, now that's outside of city limits,
It's in
correct? That's
township. It is
Yeah,
in
okay,
township.
Yeah, it's township.
okay.
Yeah, and keep the numbers at this stage, use them for, they're going to change a little bit, one way or the other, depends what we get from MnDOT, that doesn't include if they are participating in some of the costs off the street. That's not included in here at this moment. This is just total costs. We're not looking at who's paying what for sure out of these dollars. So those are all things that have to be figured out yet.
When we have that meeting with MnDOT next week, Friday, is that kind of when we're gonna find out whether or not these side streets are gonna have to be done maybe a year in advance, or are we gonna be two contractors having to work together through the whole thing?
Well, I don't know if we'll get that resolved next week, but we'll start those discussions, and see where it goes. Because their biggest thing is everything that's off the corridor is, well, now that they have to have all of their 4Fs and their different permitting processes that they need to go through. And they don't like to go farther than they need to, because that takes a little bit of time to do that. So they're looking at us and say, well, could you do your projects first, essentially, and then we'll come through with our project. That can be done, however, we end up with extra costs because now we gotta connect to existing facilities and then come back and tear some of them out and reconnect. So there's clearly gonna be additional costs for us to go that route. And certainly from a financial perspective, it'd be nice not to do that, but, we'll see where that goes. But those will be discussions that we'll be having with them.
Yeah, the issue I got is they're expecting us to handle their stormwater and not at our expense as of right now. So that's the reason why I want to try to get these tied up. I know they're not going to answer us any faster than they need to, but if they're all of a sudden going to dump all this water on us and we got to send it through our system, we should get more than just one block payment or an assist on it, so.
Those are all things we'll be discussing. And even like the 8th Street South Storm Sewer, at this point, still nobody knows
Right.
who owns and maintains, who owned originally, who paid for that system initially. We haven't been able to figure that out. MnDOT doesn't seem to have any records. We don't have any records. We're kind of
Right.
pointing fingers and saying, well, clearly this had to be yours, and they're saying we don't have any records, and so we'll see. But there'll be some discussion for sure on those things.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
8B, SCDP grant application.
So this is good news. The city applied for a grant from DEED for a small city development program grant to assist with the renovation of up to 25 single-family homes. The grant application was for $600,000. We were notified that we were selected to submit a full application, so we're working with Heidi Pepper of Stantec, Jason Kresbatch of Central Minnesota Housing Partnership, and Amy Wyatt of the DEED, she's our Region 7W representative, to finalize the application. We have to have a submittal date by April 15th, and sometime over the summer we'll get notification if we are selected. 14 cities of the applicants were deemed competitive and invited to apply. 27 cities were deemed marginally competitive, and they can apply if they want to, and the balance of the cities were invited to apply in future years. So we were in the top tier of the applications initially submitted, so we're working on that. If we get notification this summer, then there's a big process with administration, with DEED and the grant agreements, and then there's outreach that we have to have contractors that will register with SAM because it's federal money, and then of course interviewing and accepting applications from residents. So there probably won't be construction until 2027, but 2026, if we get the grant, will be over the winter, will be the public hearings and the organization of everything. We did have 42 people apply that requested the funding, and so not everybody will get it, but it'll all be based on what they need to do, who comes forward, what their income eligibility is, and all of that. And this is actually set up different from the one that we did before, where it's a grant that dissipates to, or a loan that becomes a grant over time. This is just, if you keep it for 7 years, you're done. There's no payback whatsoever. So it's either you keep it or you don't. And so it's going to be much easier administratively on the cities and over time. So kind of just some information only. It was some good news. So we'll keep working forward on that, and hopefully we'll be successful to get awarded some funding, and we'll go from there.
Okay, questions? Then on to local option sales tax amendment.
So the request for the amendment to the City of Sauk Center local option sales tax, that's been submitted to the House and the Senate. A bill implementing the change is being prepared by Senate and House staff, will be introduced to the House and Senate tax committees in the coming months. And I have seen the bill that they're proposing. It's very, very simple. It just takes the existing bill that we have and it crosses off $10 million and it inserts $20 million, and that is it. The reason for that change, of course, is over time we've had quite a bit of increase in costs. When we first put in for $10 million, our project cost was going to be 4.8. And then, you calculate in interest, and I think, like Keith was talking about costs, well, MnDOT's going to charge us a percent to administer the project and to pay the bills, and so it's going to snowball a little bit over time. So because of that's the only change, I mean, I think it'll be fairly easy. They'll get that scheduled, then we'll have to go down, probably be me again, to go down and testify in front of the House Committee and the Senate Tax Committee. Then we likely won't hear anything till they roll it into the omnibus tax bill. They usually pass that like one day before they have to leave in May. And that's very typical because a lot of stuff gets put into that. At that time, we'll also know whether we're required to have a ballot referendum. Now, typically, any sales tax has to have a ballot referendum. Because we already did that, we have the option to potentially get it passed without needing to go to referendum, which would be very helpful for us because to wait till November is really going to impact our project. I would have done this last year, except that there was a moratorium on sales tax. So that's kind of where we are. We're still pushing it forward. We're hopeful. I've been talking to Senator Westrom and Representative Franson. They're in on it with us. They're aware of it. Their staff has been really good to work with. So there's not much more I can report now. Now we're kind of wait and see.
Okay. Any questions on that or concerns? Okay, thank you. We'll go on to new business, local board of review and equalization.
So the local board of review has been set for Monday, April 6th at 1:00 p.m. So I do need a quorum of the council present, and we need to have at least one member who's undergone the training, which We do have, I think Scott took it now, Warren, Heidi, you're valid, so.
Did you get mine?
We're well covered there to
You
have
did?
at least one of you at that meeting. So that's, of course, when the county assessor comes and reviews values and sales, so.
Joe
Did
said
you get a
he took it
notification
too.
that I completed it?
What's that?
Did you get a notification I did it?
I haven't.
Okay,
Did you do it?
I did it on the
Saturday.
30th,
The 30th?
whatever,
Okay.
Friday night, Thursday.
I can log in and look. I haven't
Thursday
really
morning,
logged in
Friday.
and looked
I
since-
can email you the
I haven't logged in and
documentation
looked
I
since I typed this. So,
Yeah, the last time I redid, I never got an email
Yeah.
back saying
I just
nothing.
Same.
emailed her the certificate.
You
thing.
did?
I didn't,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, none
I
of
knew
us
Scott
have
did it
ever.
because he told me.
We've never gotten emails back saying, and she's always had to go online and say, yeah, you're good,
Oh.
so.
I waited till the 31st.
I printed it off the printer
Yeah.
certificate that you completed it, so.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions about that? Nothing on that, then we will move on to consent agenda. We have schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $26,035.07, paid claims of $90,706, for a total of $116,741.07. We have Resolution 2026-09, accepting contributions of $131.75 from the Men's Card Playing Group to be allocated to the Senior Center, $52 from West Union Combined Charities to be allocated to the Ambulance Department, $70 from the West Union Combined Charities for allocation to the Police Department, $30 from West Union Combined Charities to be allocated to the Fire Department. On behalf of the city and the community council, I want to thank that group, those two groups, for their contributions. Thank you. We have Sauk Center Youth Hockey Association has submitted an application and permit for a one-day temporary on-sale liquor license for a beer and wine event at the Sauk Center Civic Arena on March 28th, 2026. The fee and certificate of insurance is being provided. Is there any questions or concerns with the consent agenda? I did have two copies of the schedule of claims laying here, and one of it's got a circle here on the,
That's the change in the claims from what was in the packet, is all it was.
okay, that's that circle on that one,
Yeah,
okay.
it was a water delivery for the police.
Yeah, yep, okay. That takes care of that. Is there any other questions or concerns? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items.
Just a couple of things. We got the charter lineup changes that we always have to do, and then I just put the pages in there that from the city incorporation date, that the city turns 150 years old this year. So kind of fits in well with the federal government, so they're 250, and so we're 100 years younger at 150.
that's,
Okay.
7th.
you could actually even read it.
It's
Yeah, the one's
interesting
upside
to read too, actually.
Seventh.
so-
Well, we have all the
March.
books back to that date, and all
Huh?
the ordinances, and they're all written like that. It's-
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
get lost in it.
That's pretty decent handwriting too.
Yes, okay.
I don't know why the one page is upside down.
In the copy.
Any questions about either one of those informational items? Okay, then let's bring us to our end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Brad. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5 in favor, none against, meeting adjourned.